everybody, my name is Allie and I'm so excited because we're kicking off a brand new series today called Every Day. This series is going to challenge all of us to make our faith an everyday part of our lives. So what does that mean? Well, think about all the things or habits that you do every single day. Brushing your teeth, eating dinner, texting your friends, checking your TikTok, checking your Instagram, playing video games, taking out the trash when you're supposed to. For most of us, these are everyday things. These are the things that happen on a regular basis in our lives so that they're a part of our daily routine. When I was in middle school, the school that I went to didn't let us bring our own lunch to school, so we had to eat the lunch that my school was providing. And let's just say the school lunches were unpredictable. Some days the lunch was really, really good, and some days it was okay? But there was one thing I could count on every single day: croutons. That's right, croutons. At the salad bar, there was always the same yummy little crunchy bites of hard bread, and no matter what lunch was being served, I knew that I could count on those croutons. So I ate those croutons every single day. Croutons were just everyday things for me when I was in middle school, so we want to help you build some new everyday habits over the next few weeks that I promise will have nothing to do with croutons, but will help you get to know and connect with God in new ways. The kind of habits that will make your relationship with God a part of your everyday life. The goal? To grow a faith that goes with you everywhere into everything. But let's be real, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to connect with God? Great question. Think about the way you connect with your best friend. You care about them, you want to stay close, you want to know a lot about them, and you want them to know you too. So you make an effort to do things that will help you stay connected. You talk or message a lot, you hang out together, you do things that you both like to do. You make staying connected a part of your everyday life, and the more you do that, the closer your friendship is. Well, the same can be true with God. If you want to know God better and keep growing in your faith, we have to do things every day that help us stay connected to God. Now, I get that this whole idea of connecting with God may look different depending on where you are at in your faith right now. Some of us have been coming to church most of our lives. We've been doing all the churchy things we've been told are important, but still feel disconnected from God. Others of us are still unsure about God. We aren't even sure that we want to connect with God because we aren't sure God is even there. No matter where we are with our ideas about God, there's a good chance that we all have some questions. Questions like, what does it really mean to connect with God? Why should I even want to connect with God? What will connecting with God really do for me right now? If you're asking any of those questions, I'm so glad you're here, because what we're talking about today can help you take a step and make your faith an everyday part of your life. One of the best ways to begin to do this is to look to Jesus himself, who was God in a human body. And Jesus explained what this connection looks like for us in a conversation he had with his disciples. The disciples were Jesus's closest followers and spent years learning from him. Jesus was intentional about passing on important wisdom to his friends. One of those disciples, named John, wrote down some of the details of Jesus's life and some of the things he learned from him. In one of the stories that John wrote down, John remembers that the disciples were anxious because Jesus kept saying he was going to go away and they couldn't go with him. Not only were they worried about what their friend meant by this, they also had no idea what it would mean for them when Jesus left. So Jesus told the disciples something that would help them in the days ahead. Let's take a look. Yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Now, you might hear this and think vines, branches, like in a garden, cool hobby and all, but Jesus, what does gardening have to do with us? Well, let me explain. Jesus was really great at using everyday examples to teach powerful lessons, and the vines and branches were relevant to his disciples because they were around vineyards. It was also very likely that Jesus was walking through a vineyard when he said these things to his disciples. So, what did Jesus mean when he said this to his disciples? Well, branches need a vine to live. A vine is the foundation. It's the source of life. In order to survive and thrive, the branches have to stay connected to the vine. In this passage, Jesus called himself the vine, and when you remain in him, we stay connected to him. In the same way, a branch needs to stay connected to a vine to produce much fruit. If we want to grow in our faith and get closer to God, we need to stay connected to Jesus every day. Here's what Jesus was getting at in using vines and branches as an example to his disciples. A branch or bloom or fruit has to be connected to the source of life for it to grow. Jesus wants us to produce fruit, but to do that, what do we have to do? We have to be connected to the source of life. That source of life? It's Jesus. Just like a branch needs to be connected to the vine to survive, you and I need to be connected to Jesus to have the life that we've been created to have. If we want to know more about God and if we want our lives to show it, we have to stay connected to God every day. The good news, we don't have to figure out how to do this on our own. Jesus makes that connection possible for us every day. When Jesus died on the cross and rose from the dead, he made the way for us to directly connect to God. Not only that, but his very spirit is with us. And if we stay connected with God, our lives will show it. Our relationships, our attitude, our choices, our words, all of it will be better because we're connected to God. Here's what I want you to remember. You can connect with God every day. When you do, you have a better understanding of God's goodness, love, compassion, and perfect plan for your life. You'll see your faith grow into a real, thriving, everyday kind of faith. So how do we do this? How do we make connecting with God part of our everyday lives? How do we stay connected when it comes to our faith? We're going to talk about different ways to do that over the next few weeks, but today I want to give you just 2 things that you can do to start. First, you can identify ways to spend time with God. That might mean making time to read your Bible or spending time in prayer. It could be thinking about God while you're spending time in nature. It could be listening to or singing along to some worship songs. Or maybe it's writing down some thoughts or reflections about God in your journal. There are many ways to connect with God. Whatever it is for you, choose some ways that you can make spending time with God a priority this week. Second, connect with God every day. On the days when you feel disconnected from God, on the days when you're not sure God is there, on the days you're excited to talk to God, commit to trying to connect with God every day. Even if you're not sure what you'll discover when you do it, commit to simply showing up. To spend time connecting with God each and every day. This is part of how you begin to live out an everyday faith. Remember, the best way to get to know someone and stay connected is to make an effort to spend time with them on a regular basis. The more time you spend together, the more connected you become. The best relationships in your life didn't become great after one conversation, one hangout, or one experience. No, they grew over time. You had to keep showing up, keep talking, keep spending time together. The same is true with God. Make your faith a priority every day by showing up to connect with God this week and in the weeks ahead. Remember, we can connect with God every day. The more you make connection with God an everyday part of your life, the more you'll get to know God. If you're not sure where to start, I want you to consider talking to a parent or guardian, a trusted adult, or your small group. We have small groups so that we can talk about faith and the things happening in our lives. Why not try that today by talking about what connecting with God means to you? When you go to your groups, I want you to think about this question. What's one way you can connect with God?